j'ai parlé de papa et de comment il avait un problème avec l'inspiration.
Oui.
Tu pourrais nous dire, toi, quelle est ta version de l'inspiration, comment t'entends la musique, comment tu la joues? I'm asking her to define inspiration, how she hears music when she plays it, because she's very inspired, she plays very inspired music.
C'est difficile à dire. Soit j'ai quelque chose en tête et je le recherche sur le piano, soit je mets mes mains sur le piano et je vois ce qui vient.
So either she had something in her mind and she find it on the keyboard, or either she put her hand on the keyboard and find it as she plays.
Me and Michel both had kind of like hippie parents, especially like hippie mums. They were a bit sort of not very organized, and we would have to be these kind of young kids. They were like sensible and would like stop our mothers to paint butterflies over all the walls and pull them down and sort of insist that maybe we should have porridge or something.
My father really liked jazz music, and my mother was into New Age and all those extraterrestrial stories, and I think it was really a lot of stuff coming from America going on.
And just kind of having not a lot of discipline from parents, so we could kind of, and both me and Michel probably had quite vivid imagination, so we could just in our own space do whatever we wanted and kind of make things up and kind of never be stopped, you know.
T'as une vidéo préférée dans les vidéos que j'ai faites? Ou dans les films, dans les trucs que j'ai faits?
Oui, j'ai beaucoup aimé la pub d'Air France.
She likes very much commercial edit for Air France. It's not in the DVD too bad. Essaye-en une autre.
Moi, j'ai aimé Daft Punk.
Daft Punk?
Oui.
Avec la chorégraphie, la danse?
Oui.
Uh-huh. When I start a video, I always try to go in an area that I feel unsafe, to kind of force myself and prove myself I can do it. And dance and choreography was really this. I never done that, and most of the video I would see with choreography were really boring and very conventional and all about energy and close-up. As to me, choreography has to be about architecture and about wide shot, and it's geometrical pattern, and it's not about pulling your guts out. It's more about expressing shapes with your body without expressing the emotion in your face. So I started to think of a choreography, and I separated each instrument as a different track, and I analyzed each one. And so you have the bass line was played by athletic guys, keyboard was played by disco girl, the guitar by skeleton, and the vocoder by robots. And the drum machine is even more of a stretch. It's like my hero in music was Michael Jackson, and he kind of went into this weird world.
Basically, that was how Michel would interpret the music. So it's I think it's all part of a certain world that Michel has in his head, where you can take a lot of elements from different videos he's done and see that it all comes together in a very a child world, I would say. But and at the same time, Michel has a very developed logical and mathematical view of things. So it's very naive, and at the same time it's very complex.
I think that what's funny is that, especially in this video, we could have thought of a better idea than what he did. It's like It totally matches the music. It was a total harmony when we saw it.
I mean, I really wanted to do it, and if we couldn't have afforded it, I would have done it in cartoon. Because I really was pleased with my idea, and it was hard to work with dancer and stuff, but that was really a great experience. The mummies do a geometrical pattern with the beat, and the guitar, they kind of go into a square, and robots, they go into circle, and they represent around the world, basically. They go around, all around. A lot of time I have a dream, and in my dream I'm thinking, oh, I wish it was my idea, it's so great. One time I was dreaming that Spike was directing this piece, and I remember clearly, it was a pinball table with an egg moving on its own, and I'm like, wow, fuck, that's so great. I'm so jealous he had this idea. I wish I had this idea, it's the best animated piece. I'm like, wait a second, I'm not awake. This is my dream, so therefore this is my idea. So I own it. Whether it's Spike shooting it or not, Spike is part of my dream, so I'm directing. So I wake up really excited. I'm like, wow, that's great, I will do it. I had a great idea. And just I realized, wait a second, this idea was stupid. It's just an egg rolling on a pinball table. And I'm totally disappointed.
Everybody thinks it's the best video we've ever made. That's the deal. We've made a lot of videos, and that's the one that everybody thinks is the best. To this day, that was 1997. Yeah, everybody just thinks it's the best one we've ever done. And you know, to this day, we've tried to make videos that can top that one, and I don't think we'll ever do it unless we make another video with Michel. I think that's the only way you can do it. You can't beat them, join them.
Because I'm French and I don't really understand every word of the song, and especially when I listen to the track, I don't really get most of the lyrics. I catch maybe 10% of the lyrics, and then I recreate all the bridge between each word with my own universe and my own story. But lucky enough, it kind of matches sometimes closer to what the singer had in mind and his own lyrics. And the funny thing with Dave Grohl was that he thought my story was closer to what he had in mind and his lyrics themselves.
Actually, the first time I met him, he came down to the Monkey Wrench video shoot that I was directing, and then we went to go get a cup of coffee, and he explained his idea for the Everlong video, which took an hour and 15 minutes and seemed so elaborate and huge. It was just such a massive production that after he explained it to me, I'm like, Michel, the song's 4 minutes long, you know, this isn't Terminator 3, this is just, you know. Then in the video, I was half man, half machine, and the other guys in the band were these criminals that were trying to kidnap my love interest, and each one of them had a different theme. I remember that one person had 2 eye patches, rather than just the one pirate eye patch. I had 2, and I was being chased, and it was just like some insane futuristic 007 vibe that would have been far too expensive, and it was so heavy. I thought, oh my God, how's this gonna work? So we decided to come up with something else.
When I did this video for Everlong, it's a genre, like horror, surreal, humorous genre that I ever done, and I had never done before. So this one was really okay. Now I will do like a horror, yeah, obviously like the student collecting wood around the little cabin in the woods. It's really, I don't know if it was Friday the 13th or the one with Bruce Campbell, I think. What's the name of this one?
Evil Dead.
Oh, Evil Dead, yeah, I guess so. Yeah. And I think he matched quite well with Dave's personality. He has this beautiful weakness that, I mean, even though he was like the best drummer of the 90s and he was in like the biggest band in 20 years, he has still this kind of charm or weakness that I could identify with. And so his back, so it's why I think I identify very well with those guys.
Well, actually, the large hand thing was kind of funny because he explained to me that when he was young, he had these nightmares where his hands would grow to incredible size, and he'd wake up screaming, and his mother would have to come in his room and massage his hands, you know, to let him feel that everything was okay. So, I mean, it seemed completely, it was insane and ridiculous and inane, and it didn't seem like it made any sense. But then after, you know, after he explained that to me, I thought, God, wow, maybe he's actually emotionally invested into the video so much that all of this represents something that he hasn't even explained to the band, much less anyone else, you know. Maybe every one of his videos is some crazy nightmare, or some phobia, or something inside of him that he's afraid to tell anybody, and he just makes videos. He puts it into film. Because something as like vulnerable as that, like a traumatic childhood experience, that then you almost parody in a rock video. What the fuck is that all about, you know? It's a head trip.
When I heard the song of Subomato, I liked it because it was symmetrical. So it made me think of the palindrome. As you must know, palindrome is a word or a sentence that you can read both directions and it means the same, like the word radar. You can write it the other way around. It's spelled the same.
Well, his idea was this palindrome, which he's going to shoot this one-shot video that when you look at the whole video forward or backwards, same thing happens. So he timed the whole thing and then came up with this whole story that has to happen at the right timing so that when he plays it backwards, it go back and forth at the same time. He can divide it into half. So he made this tape with the music, with his direction. Wake up now, open the window now, go to the shower now, take the shower, and da 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 da. We had to listen to it and learn to do it at the exact timing.
And basically, what I wanted to do is a story that I could take on the reverse and it would be the same. So that's what's on the right of the screen. So here you have Miho and Yuka here. So it starts by Yuka getting up of her bed. And so that's, let's say, 10 seconds after the beginning. So at 10 seconds after the end, I have Miho going to bed. Then there is a flower pot, and then there is a flower pot. Then there is the cat, and when they meet, it's a car accident.
How many times did we do it?
10?
Yeah, it was a lot. It takes a lot to do each shot because there's a kid breaking the window, you know, we're breaking flower pot, and Miho's pouring sugar in her head. She has to wash it out every time, and so each shot takes like 2 hours maybe to recover.
At the very end of Sugar Water, the scene I wrote like SU and you wrote GAR. Basically, it says sugar water on both window. I basically was so nervous and spelling wrong every time. Maybe I did 3 times or something. And at the end, you know, it's the very end of everything. Michel was like, and I was like, oh my god, I'm spelling wrong, and it's just so intense, and I don't know, I can't forget about it.
Tu m'as déjà vu devenir énervé sur un tournage?
Oh yes, oui. Tournage du clip de Björk, de Bachelorette.
Ouais.
Tu t'es mis en colère aussi parce que les glaces ne marchaient pas comme... tu sais, les glaces...
Fumées
Non, les glaces, il y avait des pans de glace, je sais plus à quoi ça servait, et ça ne marchait pas bien comme tu voulais.
Yeah, the Bachelorette shooting with Björk, I got into a fit. Because a glass door that was supposed to revolve was not working, and it's very kind of frustrating when you know everything is worked out in your head and it's supposed to work, and because one technical detail I was not carefully taken care of, you have to give up on your idea. I have a hard time with that.
Yeah, one mistake could destroy everything. And I did.
I wanted to start to shoot on video, but I was afraid because I always thought he looked ugly. I know Spike was doing stuff on video. I was like watching that, and yeah, it's cool, but I like film. And then I remember stuff like, especially the 70s TV show in England from the BBC, like the Benny Hill, when they would shoot indoors on video with a very crisp look. On outdoor, they would shoot on 16mm camera, because the video camera were too big at the time. And the look were completely different, but the action would match. So I decided to shoot half the video on film and half of video, and do invisible transition.
Yeah, but I was imagining it more as kind of video effects and like trails and traces and stuff, and then he came up with the idea that the effects would be real, and the girl in her dream state, when she goes into her imaginings, the effects are created, like instead of having a trace of having a video, like a cheesy 80s kind of video effect, it would actually be reality doing the effect.
Yeah, it's like those very 80s or 70s video effect when the image was going into kaleidoscope, or like a flaring or feedback effect. I thought it would be nice to have people actually miming effect as a choreography. I'm very precise, and sometimes people think, yeah, he thinks he's Orson Welles, and he's just a piece of crap, doesn't know what he's doing. And because when I go to the set, I really know exactly what I want, and I will explain to the guy what to do before I can explain them what I need. And sometimes people may be frustrated by that, because they think if I just give them the ideas, they would find the technical solution. But sometimes it doesn't work this way.
When you talk to him, you feel so energized, you feel so buzzed up, you think, wow, this is going to be amazing. He's got such wild ideas, but then you obviously really got the talent to make the ideas happen, which is quite a big leap. And just I remember when it came through the post and I sat down and watched it, just immediately having to watch it again and again, just trying to understand, how it was made, or what it was, kind of thing. It was fantastic.
I still don't really understand it, I have to say.
This is Beck Hansen speaking about the video Deadweight. This is a video of inverted reality, and here, let me take it.
Okay.
Can I take this one over?
Yeah.
Okay. Sort of losing track of.
It all comes so quick, and there's so many.
I know. It's really hard to do.
Yeah.
Especially with a video,
Yeah.
Hi, this is Beck Hansen, and how does it usually go? Like
That's a good way, just sort of your name and.
I'm going to be talking about the video. Well, people obviously know. Okay, this is Beck Hansen, and this is a video called Deadweight, directed by Michel Gondry. Having directed videos on my own, when you're left with that just blank slate of.
No way. Okay. Sorry about that.
You can call back later.
Yeah.
When you're left with all the options and all the technology and all the possibilities of what a video could be. Actually, now I remember one of the reasons I wanted to do the video. I mean, I was a fan of his videos, but he sent over a film that he made of himself walking with his shoes walking in front of him. And I thought it was a brilliant effect because it was so simple. What he had done is he tied fishing wire from the sock to the shoe and walked backwards and then ran the film the other way, so it looked like the person was following the shoes. On the highway, unpaved, going my way. And I was so impressed that he'd actually gone out and made a film and printed it, made copies and sent it over to me without any commitment of the video or anything.
And actually, I have to admit, this idea came to me from a short film from Norman McLaren when he was fighting the chair, and he has shot in reverse. He was attached to the chair with some wire and he was running backwards. But basically the main idea of Beck's video was to have everything upside down, outside in, and reverted. So it's like he's walking on the beach and he's taking his holidays in the office. He takes the plane and the wind is inside and outside is perfectly quiet. He takes his picture and the wallpaper is in the frame and the picture outside. And it's funny when you take a silly concept like that, you can really push it very far and have a lot of funny ideas to explore.
One of my favorite things about Michel is when he'll explain a video and you're trying to visualize it. And I've had him explain Bjork videos to me before he made them, or one of my, the video we worked on, and it sounds incredible.
One day I found a big book buried deep in the ground. I opened it, but all the pages were blank. Then, to my surprise, it started writing itself. I guess with Bachelorette, after we misbehaved with Army of Me and Isabel, and then we behaved on Hyper Ballad and Yoga, where we did really low budget stuff. It was time for the third part of the trilogy. And we were going mega.
So she gave me the storyline. I asked myself what would be the most extreme stuff I could do with her. And to me, the most extreme situation would be to be in a normal, like romantic situation, like she's having an affair with a producer. So I had this idea that she finds this book that tells her destiny, and she has to fulfill the destiny of the book to make it work, basically.
So it was basically the saga of Isabel continues, and she goes on the train, and it's like a train beat in the song. Goes back to the city and confronts all her lovers with love. And then in the end, withdraws, nature wins, takes over the city, and she ends happy. Yeah, so that's Bachelorette.
In many of my videos, I always use the contrast with nature and the city. I think it's because when I was young, I was living in a house exactly at the limit of the forest and the city. And in my mind, I was not sure what was underneath. If it was the concrete of the city that was composing the whole earth, or if it was the dirt of the forest. So I did this little model to explain you what was in my mind when I was this age. So we will cut this planet in half. So that was the two way I would think of inside of the planet. First, when I was really young, I thought the planet was made of a big block of concrete, like it was under the city, and it was just a little skin of dirt under the forest. Then a little later, I realized that probably it would be more logical that actually the Earth was made of big block of dirt with a little skin of concrete to support the city. I had thought out the idea for 1 year. It was all in my mind. I knew it would be difficult, but if it was working, it would be interesting.
Michel Gondry told me about how magicians, it's all sleight of hand. He compares using visual effects to magicians. And I think that's cool. You get the audience to look here when you do the trick over here. And I love that. And that's what I like to try and do. By thinking about what he said, I try and do that. By doing one trick here and one trick here, they're looking here, but then the trick happened here. So in the shot that doesn't look like there's a trick, there actually was a trick. That's not my quote, that's Michel Gondry's. I don't want to take credit for that. He's an extremely intelligent French director.
So we picked this place in Paris. We had different streets. Like in Paris, the roads are not parallel like in New York. So that was like a corner with buildings, and like 4th Street or 3rd Street. And the idea was to ask Kylie to walk around, like she's coming back from some shopping, and she walks, and after a while she reached the same place that she exited. And what we did, we shot with a motion control with that tracks in the middle of the road, and the motion control would follow her, but after one tour we do exactly the same motion again and again. And so we follow her the second tour, but what we do in post-production is we put the first time she was here mixed with the second time. So now there is 2 Kylie, and etc. So she will walk around another turn, and after there will be 3 Kylie, etc. At the end there will be 5 Kylie. But as well, it was a lot of background action, people doing stuff with a motorbike, people kissing, people arguing, an old lady. It would be like 20 characters. So after one tour, each one will have moved a little bit, and you will have twice each character, so it will be 40, and at the end it will be 100 characters in the same space. So the only problem to avoid is people could not sit at the same spot twice because they would be overlapping on themselves, and Kylie has to go to a different route. So, but that was one take that we picked, and the 4 Kylie you see in the final part of the video are actually from the same take. I got the idea from this magician called Gérard Marjax in France, who was doing tricks on TV. He take a needle with a hole. So he will show it to you, the needle, and then show the thread, and after he will go behind a cloth and go, and then the needle would have 20 threads in it. And it's like, how in the hell did you do that? And then the secret, and then after the next day he would show the secret of the trick he did the day before. And actually he put the thread in the eye of the needle, and then he do a little knot. And then it's like a circle. So then we roll the circle, and the knot goes again in the eye, so then you have 2 layers, and then you go again, and it goes a third time, you have 3 layers. And then you would do like 20 times, and you would cut both sides, and you will have 20 20 threads into the eye of the needle. And that's a very silly trick, but I think I got the idea like that.
I remember thinking that his head was exceptionally large and that his brain is probably bigger than most people's. I remember seeing his forehead thinking like, God, there must be a lot of brain shoved in that thing, you know?
How did you guys first come across Michel? Had you seen anything he'd done?
It was kind of an accident because we had wanted to do, we were going to do a video of Fell in Love with a Girl, and I said, they said, who do you like? And I said, no, I like whoever did that Beck's Devil's Haircut video. I said, and they called Michel, and then the guy at the record label said, oh yeah, he's the guy who did that video, when she wasn't. And so, but then he had done this other Beck video that I really liked as well, and then I heard about the other ones he had done around the world, and so I was like, yeah, great, let's talk to him. Half of it was actual stop frame animation, actually using real Lego blocks and building versions of us playing our instruments. And then the other half of the video was he digitized what he'd filmed of us into square pixels and turned the pixels into Lego blocks. So it was sort of half and half, and it blended really well together because you can't really tell what's what most of the time. It was sort of an idea that just couldn't go wrong, I think.
I shot them first on video with a mini DV camera, and I didn't want to be narrative. I really wanted to make like a collage video just because the process was so complex after that I couldn't add too many layers.
Are you alright?
I must be fine because my heart's still beating.
The problem with animating Lego is when you do animation frame by frame, you have to you would do a shape, and then you take one picture, and then you move the shape a little bit, you take another picture, and you move the shape a little bit, you take another picture, and then when you show all those frames together, you create the animation. So what we had to do is we first shot on video, then we printed with a pixelation effect. Each layer, which was 24 per second, we had 15 animators that would build a wall of Lego, basically the size of this sheet of paper, and we'll put that in front of the camera and shoot it. So that took like more than 2 months to do.
He was just filming us with a little camera, and we were just running around and running up and down stairs and things like that, and that was so fun and simple. He just had us running around and running on treadmills and running up and down stairs. It was so quick and easy. We're like, that's all we have to do, because everything else was sort of a post-production video. That was the idea. It was way better than Meg's idea of us being made out of Oreo cookies.
I don't know. I think it could have worked. You know, I really did.
What were you thinking? The interesting thing was that when we finished doing that video, you know, with the Lego blocks and everything, and we'd called the Lego company, and we wanted to do a version of the single, like maybe a couple of hundred copies, where it came with a kit of Legos where you could build me and Meg on stage. And Lego said no. I said, we don't market to anybody over 12 years old. And then of course the video became a big hit, and they ended up calling back and saying, oh, well, can we do some kind of thing together? And I was like, you know, you had your chance, you know. That's pretty American.
Well, I always try to avoid in my video, I always try to avoid the performance and the playback on the guitar and because it's been done so many times and it's so boring. But then I saw them in concert, the White Stripes, and they were so great. I thought, oh, I have to use them playing. It's so special. Attends, Paul. Oh, si tu arrives. So I had this idea to buy a lot of drum kits, identical, 32 in all, and a lot of Fender amplifiers, and we create geometrical pattern. So each time she hits the drum kick stays and she moves to the next spot, which have a new drum kick. So you see her moving, and there is a tray of instrument behind her, and same with him. All your life you think, oh, I wish I could have a drum kit, and then suddenly you realize in the scheme of the price of a video you can buy 32 drum kit, and it's not really a major expense, and it's just great what you can think of doing with 32 drum kits. And I played like with Lego but with drum kits. And the guitar goes like that. We had 32 drum kits, so I had done a little drawing on they would lay out all the elements on here. We'd set up all the drum kit in a landscape, like in the street or in the forest, and we start by the ending. So Meg would play here, then she would go and play this beat, and we lose that. Then this beat, and then we lose that, this beat, and we lose that. And then when you play it backwards, segment by segment, that goes like the music. And we have a lot of fun.
I guess I just remember when we were doing it, it felt amazing. It had a great feeling, and you really felt that you were doing something that nobody had done before, but you didn't have a clue if people were gonna like it or not. You weren't really that bothered about it because it was so much fun. You don't even go to that level of thinking, like, will it be successful? It's just like stupid to think things like that when you're lucky enough to be part of something so magical.
At some point you have to say, well, you know, this is your thing. You know, go and make it, kind of. And with something like that, you know they're going to put everything they've got into trying to make, you know, great video kind of thing, which is not, you know, something to be ignored, you know. So when he came up with this idea, it seemed, you know, the idea of making the landscape fit with the music seems such a difficult thing to do. You know, how are you going to do, you know, how are you going to have this whole musical landscape, you know, built of these things, you know, that it just seemed another incredible sort of idea, and it's just like, well, I don't know how you're going to do it, but that's not our problem, you know, it's your problem.
I'm really surprised. He's a very young guy, and somehow we were imagining more old, difficult French director or something.
He was a taskmaster, an egomaniac. He was unruly, just ruthless. He was firing guns off. He was the one that pushed you one of the times, wasn't he? Pushed you down?
For me, it was almost, the whole thing was, I don't know what the word is. It was almost like a weird ritual.
There's no one that's ever done anything more beautiful or challenging or interesting to watch than he has. So, saying that, it's like, he could tell me to stick a corn cob up my ass and fucking dance around in a hula skirt. I'd do it, because I know that it would look great, you know? So, yeah.